Europe will be of 1 month, so you will enjoy there a lot. Up to now, you have visited France through the topics of Frederick Sorio, Civil Code of 1804, then role of French revolutionaries. You had a short visit to Germany, the province of Kassel. Then we will switch over to the next topic, and in the second topic we will discuss about growth of nationalism in 18th century. Page 8 starts with a sentence: there were no nation states in the mid of 18th century Europe. To justify this, we will take the example of Austria-Hungary. Because during that period, the countries of Europe were divided into small duchies, small cantonments, and here we have the example of Austria-Hungary. There is a statement in your book that Austria-Hungary was a patchwork of many different peoples and regions. To justify this, we will discuss about Austria-Hungary. It was ruled by Habsburg Empire. Austria-Hungary was ruled by Habsburg Empire. In the Alpine region, which included Bohemia, the aristocratic people who were predominantly German speaking were in large number. In Lombardy and Venetia, Italian speaking people were there. In Galicia, the people were speaking Polish language, and besides them, the common people, Bohemians and Slovaks, were to the north. Then Slovens were in Carniola. Then Croats were living in the south, and Romans were living in the east in Transylvania. Now I would be asking, why we have to remember so much? If we will talk about India, give the example of India. A student from Europe, if he has to remember about the different languages and regions of India, you have to remember 5 to 6 years. Take the example of an European student. If he has to remember about India, more than 20 languages, more than 25, more than 30 states he has to remember. So, region-wise people speak different language. That is how it has been given in the case of Austria-Hungary. People were living in different regions, they were speaking different languages. So then how unity developed in them? There was one single common factor, that all these people, though were having different languages, they were living in different regions, but they had a common allegiance to the emperor. Means the emperor was one. So in this way, their obedience to the emperor was binding them together. So this was how, though there were many languages, many regions, many people, but one common factor that was binding them together, and that was their common allegiance to the emperor. So that was the case of Austria-Hungary. Now the next topic we will discuss today is the role of aristocracy. Aristocracy played a very important role in Europe, and that we will discuss in unification of Germany and unification of Italy. Here we will have a brief discussion about the lifestyle of aristocrats. They were the dominant class in Europe. All of them had common ways of life. And all these aristocrats all over Europe, whether they belong to Germany, whether they belong to France or Spain, all spoke French language for diplomatic purpose. It means French was the aristocratic language in Europe. All the people belonging to different countries of Europe, they spoke French for diplomatic purpose. Then all of these countries were tied together by marriage ties. It means you have discussed in class 9, the Russian emperor married the German princess. So there were marriage alliances between these royal houses of Europe. They were having large land holdings, and the peasants were working under them, and they were a small group in Europe. They were a dominant group, but a small group in Europe. So these two topics for today. In the next class, we will discuss about the role of middle class.